They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
I want to make it clear that the views expressed by our hosts are not considered the official stance of MBR Views. Remember, this is all about having fun and enjoying the ride.
Find us on
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. I'm Amber.
And I'm Laura.
And thank you guys for joining us today. It's going to be a weird, wild one, but I did want to thank Laura for subbing for me last week while I was up on the mountain in Colorado at church camp.
It went a little rough. I wouldn't say you need to rewatch the video. It was horrible. But how was church camp? Did you have a good time?
Yes, I did. There were 2,011 people on the mountain, which
Good
is
year.
which is I think the most they've ever had.
Most I've ever had.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they've been doing it since like 1977.
And it was for the youth group, you said?
Yeah, it was for the youth group.
Mhm.
And we traveled all the way to Colorado, and we were busy the entire time. And I had no idea how cold it would be at night and in the morning. I mean, you could
I
actually,
believe it.
yeah, you could actually see your breath, which
Oh,
is,
wow.
I was not prepared for that.
Noted.
No one warned me. And so I just kind of packed lightly. Luckily, I brought a hoodie and a raincoat.
That's good. That's always good. Well, today I'm going to be taking a little bit of a leader role in this just because, okay, well, first of all, let me preface this by saying we were kind of wary to talk about the Chillicothe Fancy Sarah assault situation. We really don't want to milk this whole Gypsy Rose thing. So we've kind of been trying to steer away from it, but it's kind of getting to the point where we're having statements made about us, having statements made about the whole thing that just don't seem to be true. We did our one episode, which I think went pretty well for the most part.
Yeah.
But there's my opinions have changed a little bit, I should say my perceptions changed. And also like, whenever we first started doing, like when we did the live, you were still in good standing with Fancy. You guys are still having conversations.
Correct.
And you guys were up until the day after the live, and then a bunch of people started sending her videos. She wouldn't watch the whole entire thing, and now, it's kind of devolved from there. So, a lot of things have happened, but I guess we're just gonna have to dive right into it.
Yeah.
So we have some pictures, we have some videos, we have a whole thing. So we want to make sure that we're actually putting something together for you. Work with us as we try and work out the kinks in this whole thing.
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
to let you guys know, Alora's taking the lead because I was busy and Alora's been kind of ruminating on this for a while. And when I saw that the video had been put out there, I don't know if it was leaked. I have no idea who put it out there. I was just glad I was on the top of a mountain with no cell service.
I wasn't planning. Well, you're the one who even sent it to me that it had gotten leaked. So
Yeah.
whenever you found it, I was not really planning on talking about this again, other than on my TikTok, which I still haven't made my little TikTok with because I was too lazy to gather all the information that I ended up gathering today.
Yeah.
So all the stuff that I could have been working on for weeks or even a month or 2, I had to just kind of rush to get together. I worked 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. today. So let's pretend I didn't look up some of the information while I was doing my job. Sorry, guys. So anyway, we're going to just jump right into it, I guess. I'm just going to have to pay attention to splitting up the different sections and also getting our breaks in when we need to. So do you remember how to present? Or do you already have it on there? Oh, yes, you do. See, that's mine even. Okay, so we're starting out. Okay, so these pictures I don't think have really been released. We're just starting out showing you guys that, yeah, we were there. Scroll. So we were there. This is a picture that I took of Sarah and Fancy in front of the Chillicothe courthouse. This is just Fancy. She kind of wanted me to take a few little glamour shots of her. She was really feeling herself. I'm not going to sit here. It was cute. She was doing her whole thing. And, there are a couple pictures of her that I have that I will not be releasing out of, yeah, I'm not going to release that. But anyway, there's a picture of my mom and her standing next together. I didn't get a picture with her. I didn't really care to be honest. So yeah, this is just to prove, not that I think anyone's questioning that we were really there, but just, hey, this is what's going on. Yeah. So that's us at the Chillicothe courthouse. So something that I want to get into a little bit. The charges that were initially filed against April Johns, the whole reason why we even went to Chillicothe. I have made the mistake, and I've heard a lot of people make the mistake of saying that it was a lawsuit. Now, I know very little about legal jargon. I have small brain, but from what it looks like, it seems as if it was not a lawsuit. We are all incorrect. Even, I was surprised to see that even in the interview that she did with Tasha K, which I didn't even watch until earlier today, while I was working. Oopsie. But anyway, I noticed that she, what did she say? I just lost my train of thought. Hold up. I forgot what I was even saying.
She said in Tasha K's interview.
I know I lost it. There was a reason why I brought it up. Sorry, I'm totally scatterbrained. What was I trying to say? Oh yeah, she didn't correct the fact that it was a lawsuit or that it wasn't a lawsuit. Okay, which is fine. We got that wrong too. I was just surprised that on such a big platform, she just kind of went along with the lawsuit narrative. And again, I could be wrong, but I've heard multiple people say that it wasn't actually a lawsuit, and that it was something entirely different. I initially wanted to read out like the entire thing, but there's like 32 pages and we only have 2 hours that we're able to sit in here and do this. So I don't want to waste anybody's time, but we'll maybe try and put a link in the comments or something of where you can go. But if anyone needs to, all you have to do is literally Google Missouri CaseNet, and it'll take you to a website where you can just put in the litigant. You can do a litigant name search. And you can look up April L. Johns, and the first 2 things that are going to pop up are going to be what? Sorry, you moved it, so I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So if you just look up April L. Johns underneath the Missouri CaseNet thing, all the stuff will pop up. There's going to be 2 different entries. One is going to be filed by Gypsy specifically, and it will say like Gypsy Rose Anderson or Gypsy Anderson. And the second one is going to be filed, I believe, by the state. I think is what it says.
And we're going through this to basically just figure out what exactly happened in Chillicothe that day. Basically.
Well, not this. Oh, this is.
Yes, I know that, but I mean, ultimately, we're building to that, right?
Yeah. So the whole reason why we're doing this is we want to talk about what exactly happened. I know that we've made statements before. Some people think that our statements changed on what we saw, but really it was just the way that we perceived things. And I don't want to act like we're any sort of victims of Fancy, because we're not. I feel like we both kind of knew what we were getting into a little bit, maybe not fully, but both of us kind of thought she was a little unhinged. We tried to love her for who she was, and I still wish her the best. In the last video that we did, or the last live stream we did, we got some comments about how people were like, oh, Laura's saying that she doesn't have anything against Fancy, but clearly she does, and Amber might not, but Laura does. I don't remember even what it was, but I had just heard something about her like right before we did the live stream, and it pissed me off, and so I was angry. I was really angry. But I'm glad that we waited a few weeks for me to simmer down, or it wasn't for me to simmer down, but I'm glad that we let some new information come to light, that I had some time to think about it and stuff. And I don't.
And the video to be released.
And the video to be released, because we've had this video. We've had this video the whole time, or not the whole time. We've had this video since right before we published our last live stream about the situation. And yeah, basically, let's just get into it. Let's just get into it. Okay, so it's no weird word. Okay, so here are what the causes of action are for the said lawsuit again. If I say lawsuit at any point in time, just know it's out of habit and that this is not a lawsuit. These are criminal charges that are filed. So anyway, it says plaintiffs restates, realleges, and incorporates herein by reference each and every allegation contained in the preceding paragraphs as though fully set forth herein. Sorry, I read part of it that I shouldn't have. Okay. Plaintiff alleges that defendant by and through the above referenced conduct has engaged in the following causes of action: fraud, breach of contract, unjust enrichment, defamation, and false light. So that's what she's actually been charged with. Hold on, let me scroll down so you can actually see what we're looking at real quick. Causes of action. So that's what she actually got charged with. So I know I said stuff about defamation before. We kind of went into it thinking it was more of a freedom of speech issue rather than anything else, but we didn't take our time, and that's our own fault, to properly look into exactly what we were going into. She kind of painted somewhat of a story, and while I don't think it accurately represented the whole of the problem, even though I'm not a fan of Fancy now, I definitely am not, I would still say that as far as the defamation stuff goes, I am still not a fan of defamation lawsuits in general. On the rare occasion, it can be for a legitimate reason, I feel like, but I still feel like even though the things that she has said and the things that they quote her as saying in this lawsuit, which we can't get into all of it, unfortunately, but it just, I don't know. I think she's being a bitch, but I don't think that she should be in trouble for it legally. I think that taking legal action against her is kind of a slippery slope for other content creators. And even though she definitely by far is the worst as far as defamatory things that she may or may not have stated about Gypsy, I still think that if she gets in trouble, that it could open up the door to other content creators getting in trouble. With the way that I perceive Gypsy and Christy and the rest of her family, I feel like they're kind of vultures and they're just kind of going to go after you if they can. And if they got like a taste of winning this, I feel like it wouldn't have been good for other people.
Well, and you only say that because they, fortunately for all of us, did that Lifetime show, and her true colors and their true colors are really coming out. So.
And it's not even, I watched the first episode, and I don't even think I finished the first episode, and I just couldn't watch any of them. Like
I've watched a couple of them,
but like just the way she's acting online, I think she's doing. But again, this episode isn't going to be about Gypsy. This isn't going to be a Gypsy bashing episode. It's also not even going to be a Fancy bashing episode. We're just going to present the receipts, and you guys can perceive them how you want to perceive them. Okay, so something that she writes. Let's see. Part of this, not lawsuit, part of this filing, it says, February 3rd, 2024, a letter was sent to the home of John Smicelli by Stanfield Law, LLC, addressing the issues and requesting John Smicelli immediately stop creating content and saying false, defamatory, and harassing things regarding plaintiffs, take down the offending material, and contact undersigned counsel. The person at John Smicelli's residence at the time of delivery was not able to sign for the letter, and the U.S. Postal Service left information for package pickup. John Smicelli acknowledged on subsequent videos that she was aware the package was likely a cease and desist letter from undersigned counsel on behalf of plaintiffs, and she was not going to pick it up. She never attempted with undersigned counsel and continued to produce offending content. In fact, defendant's knowledge of this letter from plaintiff's counsel appears to have only increased defendant's conduct in quantity and acrimony towards plaintiffs. Now, I don't know if she was ever actually served. You are going.
Yeah, I actually.
Here, I got it. Let me mess with it, please. Okay. Okay. Oh shit. Okay. I forgot what I was saying. So I don't know if she was actually served for the trial that or the hearing that we went and saw. I don't think she was, because even when she kind of contested it in court, was talking to the judge about it, he didn't argue and say that he did send something. But I just wanted to point that out, that they did send a cease and desist, and she claimed that she wasn't going to go and pick it up. And I don't have clips of it, but I recall vaguely from other things that I've seen randomly where she's talked about, oh yeah, I'm sure they sent it to this address or this PO box, but I'm not picking it up. You know, they can do this or they can do that. If they want to see me, they'll see me, you know, that sort of thing. So I just wanted to establish a record of her saying that and doing that. So, you know, there's a lot of different things that are brought up in there. Like I said, fraud. The fraud mostly covers, would you say, her making the claim that, Mad Ginger Productions, which is what it used to be before it was the Good Wives Network, that she basically was more qualified than she was, and that she never really ended up doing anything. And that's what the fraud portion talks about. The breach of contract, from what I understand, you were the one you were kind of talking about the breach of contract earlier, and you kind of explained it in a better way. Did you write some kind of notes down?
No, I didn't, but I know what you're talking about.
Well, with the breach of contract, it seems like she was not supposed to release the information that she was given under any other circumstances than in this documentary, docuseries, or book, or whatever production or media that she was supposed to put out for this thing. She was not supposed to put it anywhere else. Now, if the contract was listed somewhere in all these filings, it wasn't under the link that I looked at. So I personally have not read the contract. I cannot confirm nor deny, but it seems like there was some sort of a breach of contract potentially.
Yeah, it seemed like it, just because from what I saw in the paperwork that you made me read, because I didn't really care, but
well, if you're going to talk about it, I feel like we should look into it. You know? I know. Our due diligence is.
Yes,
you know,
I know. Yeah. But yes, what I saw is that she said that it was going to be some kind of media, you know, a docuseries, a documentary, a book, or something. But instead, she has produced YouTube videos and TikTok videos and stuff like that that are attacking Gypsy.
But the specific breach of contract is that she's using the medical documents, and she's using the crime scene photos, and, you know, any other kind of information that they gave to her. She's using all of that, and she's putting it online for profit.
Here,
and so that's part of the unjust enrichment.
This is what I found.
There you go.
Okay. So it says, it's a number 9. As evidenced by defendant Johns Maselli's conduct and the conduct of her agents and associates, Johns Maselli is intentionally and freely utilizing the materials she received from plaintiffs pursuant to the agreement signed by plaintiff Gypsy and plaintiffs Rod and Christie, respectively, without their consent and for her own pecuniary gain. As part of her conduct, Johns Maselli posted online in both public and subscription-based platforms documents, photos, and videos she received from the plaintiffs as part of the contractual relationships. These include Johns Maselli has posted online public viewing Gypsy's private protected medical records. She has had Colleen McShane, a professor of nursing at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and co-owner of the Good Wives Network, read and opine as to what is in Gypsy's private protected medical records. In posts in early 2024, Johns Maselli stated she was uploading Gypsy's medical records in her possession to the Patreon account. She also posted police reports, police videos, and police photographs, including the crime scene. And then she also released personal cell phone numbers online of the plaintiff.
Which I don't know if doxing is illegal in all states. I know that it's not legal in most, or I know that it is surprisingly legal in most states.
Mm-hmm.
But in Missouri, where we live, it is actually illegal. And I don't know what constitutes as doxing. I don't know if it's just your name or if it's your address, your phone number, whatever. But yeah, if she was actually putting their phone numbers online, and that's true, cool. That's not cool. You'll even see like later on, there's stuff or information I blocked out, and yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll down just a little bit. Okay, here's our conclusion, and then we'll take a nice little break directly after this, and then we'll get back into some more crazy stuff. Okay, so the conclusion is wherefore plaintiffs pray this court A, enter a temporary restraining order enjoining defendant as set out in paragraph 64 above until such time as a hearing can be held and evidence presented on the preliminary and permanent injunction. B, enter after evidence is adducted. That sounds like an idiot. A preliminary injunction pursuant. C, enter after evidence is adduced. I still don't know how to read that word. It's ADDUC. Adduced. Oh, I feel stupid. Anyway, adduced. A permanent injunction pursuant. D, enter an appropriate order of damages pursuant to each and every count alleged above. E, for attorney fees and costs to prosecute this action. F, for any further relief the court deems just and appropriate. Which I understand point F, but I feel like them making it so vague is like, what can we get out of her? Which again, not a fancy fan. You guys will see that as time goes on. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Sometimes when things have like vague parameters, it worries me just a little bit. But
we did want to say thank you, Vanessa, and thank you, Laura Lynn, for commenting.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We're kind of going back and forth, so it's kind of hard for us to read the comments.
Yeah.
We haven't even been able to see ourselves this whole time. So anyway, so we're going to go ahead and take a nice little break. Who we listen to?
We are going to listen to Katie Roth and the Black Sheep, and this is Memphis.
So here you go. We'll see you in 5 minutes.
Midnight in Memphis, I'm trying to make it through. It's midnight in Memphis, and baby I'm missing you. I'm missing you. pass me by. I'll give anything to have you here by my side. It's midnight in Memphis. Try to make it through. It's midnight in Memphis. Baby, I'm missing you. Baby, I need you. Baby, it's true. Whoa, nah, nah, nah. It's midnight in Memphis. Try to make it through. Midnight in Memphis. Baby, I'm missing you. Baby, I'm missing you.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. That was Cade Roth and the Black Sheep, Memphis.
Oh, that was a pretty good song,
Yeah.
honestly. I haven't heard that one yet. I mentioned this briefly in the last video that I did by myself that nobody watched, but I don't want anyone to watch, so don't take that as a thing to watch it. But anyway, yeah, that's actually her cousin's husband, and he's pretty good. So anyway, we want to just shout out real quick. There's a couple new people that are coming in the chat. We got Rosie Posey and we got Jay Thomas.
Yeah, hey, Jay.
Hey,
Good to
dudes.
see you.
Good to see everyone.
Patriot Radio, too. It looks,
That's
oh,
you.
no, that's me.
But so we're just gonna get back into it. I'm getting confused.
Yeah, no, but thank you guys
Yes,
for being
thanks
here.
everyone. Thanks everyone for being here. Okay. Here, let me do it. I got it. Okay. So we're gonna get back in here. Okay. So something that I want to point out real quick is I do not have a clip of this, unfortunately. I clipped a bunch of stuff, but this was not one of the things. So Sarah states on multiple occasions that all of the money that was donated went to Fancy, that she didn't see any of it. That I think she might have said that she got about $10 in donations. And she said that she really didn't have anything to do with the grift. Now, will 100% agree that Fancy is probably the one that absolutely pushed the begging for money. She's probably the one who posted all of it, most of it, if not all of it. And she's probably the one who got the majority of the donations. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Sarah got more donations that Fancy was like, oh no, well that's ours and I need to control. Wouldn't be surprised by that at all. I don't know. I'm not making any kind of accusations. I just wanted to make it very clear that when she says that she wasn't a part of the grifting at all, she's a fully grown adult. And I empathize with her in a lot of ways. I dislike Fancy, but I don't dislike Sarah. Don't trust Sarah. I don't trust Sarah at all, but I think she's a sweet girl and she's trying her best. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I I didn't have enough interaction with Sarah to honestly get like a real true read on her.
That's valid.
More, I just got timid and sick.
She's timid. She's sick. She not very confident in herself. Clearly,
at least in person.
At least in person. No, I really don't think you can act kind of big and bad on the internet and stuff, but you can still tell that a lot of acting big and bad on the internet, honestly, though, doesn't even show your confidence. It shows that you have a lack of confidence because you have to act that way. And I feel like that might potentially be a blanket statement for Fancy and other people, but it might not be, But anyway, the only reason why I put this in here is not to bash Sarah or anything, but just to be like, hey, she has her Cash App there. She has the Cash App there. And they have her Cash App there. So
that's just 3.
That's just 3. There might be other examples of it, but those are just all things that I saw. So yeah, real quick. There was a interview that was done. Let me go ahead and pop in my other notes. Unfortunately, I would really like to play the video for you. But I was having issues getting videos together, so you're just gonna have to listen to the audio, but that's okay because it's on StreamYard anyway, and I don't think anyone was I think they were just all using their avatars, so there's not really much to watch. But basically, Uncorked with Brandy, that is a channel on YouTube here. She did an interview with Sarah super recently. I want to say it was within the last week. And Sarah spoke out about a lot of things. I would highly recommend you checking out the channel Uncorked with Brandy. I think that it's a 4-hour live stream, but if you have the time for it, I think it would be beneficial if you want to get a fuller look into the story. So I'm just going to be playing a couple clips from that, and yeah, so.
The hotel was not paid separately. They stayed at the same hotel because an inmate, female inmate in Chillicothe, and they tell they put it on because they had a major credit card and Fancy did not. So when it came time to check out,
So some people are saying that it's really hard to hear and no sound. Can you hear it like at all? Because I can hear it over my speakers. I just want to make sure that I'm not totally playing a bunch of crap. So if someone could go back in the chat real quick and tell me if you can hear this. I've restarted the clip. I hear noise, no words. Darn it. That's really unfortunate because this is like the main thing I've got going on. Okay. So basically, I'm trying to figure out how to get this all in here because we tested this out earlier and it seemed like it was working. So Sarah claims that we went in and we secured the room for the night of that they arrived, the hotel room in Chillicothe. They said that we secured the room for them for the night and that we put a security deposit down. And that with that security deposit, we got it refunded and that Fancy went downstairs on the last day and that she basically paid for everything with the money that the followers sent her. Is that basically the gist of what she said?
Yeah.
She basically just said, okay, so real quick before we get into the mic drop moment of this all, because there is an allegation that we're going to bring forth, but it's not an allegation that we're going to do anything about. It's not something we're stressed out about. But it's only something that we're even bringing up at all because they're calling, you know, certain things. They're lying. They're just lying. Or I think Sarah has more so been lied to by Fancy is what is happening. I don't think that Sarah is trying to misrepresent the situation. But yeah, so she, in all these clips, she just keeps saying, secured the card,
which is my fault.
There's so many things. Oh, I really wish I could play this for you where you could actually hear it. Maybe I can find it whenever we play a clip a little bit later, because we are going to play a little excerpt from the Tasha K interview, so maybe it'll work something out. Because it's like a 6-minute clip. But anyway, I really do have like 5 or 6 clips here for you guys to listen to. But maybe I can just read like what the things that I wrote down for it. So the first one is where Sarah states that we only secured the room and did not pay for the stay for the first night. So she's saying that Fancy went back and she paid for everything and that we got a security deposit back, right? In the second video, I summed it up by saying Sarah states that she had no control of her funds, and then she states that we did not pay for the night's hotel stay. And then the third video, I wrote, Amber also confused me with the secured the room statement. And then I was going to ask you to elaborate on what that meant and why you said that. And I'll ask you for that in a second. I'm just going to give them the synopsis of the rest of it. And then in one of the videos, I think someone calls into question how sick Sarah actually is. Now, can we confirm the specific illnesses that she has? No, we don't have her medical records, and that's quite frankly none of our business. Mm-hmm. But what we can confirm is she absolutely was sick. Mm-hmm. She ended up having to sit out of the lunch that we had with Fancy because she had to go lay down. Sarah, she wears wigs, she does her hair, she does her makeup, she wears these outfits and heels every day, and like she just goes the whole 9 yards. And I don't think she's someone who feels comfortable with people seeing her not looking at her best. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the reason why she always does her voice when she does interviews or does live streams. She never has her face on there because I think she's just a deeply insecure person and she wants to show her best, which I completely understand. The reason why I say that is someone that strikes me like that, I don't think would want us to see her in the state that we saw her in. We saw her laying on the bed with her wig off. I think she might have even had like a puke bucket or something next to her. She looked rough. And I'm not saying that to insult her whatsoever. I'm just saying that what she was doing and the way she was acting, I don't think she would have faked it. And she genuinely was having issues. And even in the courthouse, the reason why we were so apt to believe this whole scenario, she genuinely was so broken up over it. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm sure that she felt assaulted, intimidated, all that stuff. But I just don't think that the actual video.
We're going to get into the hotel stay.
Yes, we'll get into the hotel stay. I still have all the stuff, but I was just throwing. Someone says, when I was sick, I had my wig off around you. I wasn't doing okay. Oh, yeah, you're not doing okay. Sorry. I was And then Rosie Posey said, Fancy said at one point that she had never seen Sarah sick once, that she doesn't believe she has cancer. Doesn't make sense since Sarah was so sick. Okay. So that's some bullshit. I'm just gonna call it. Again, this is not going to be a Fancy bashing session. If that's what you want, you're not getting it. Although we do have some dirt on her, but I see it as dirt. Anyway, who cares? It's not going to be a bashing session though. But I will say that is absolutely completely incorrect. My mother, she's very sick. You have. Well, do you kind of want to go into your medical history just a little bit without going too?
Yeah, I have. Let's see. I have. Undifferentiated connective tissue disease. I have had 3 heart surgeries. I have chronic migraines, chronic pain syndrome,
PTSD, all that sorts of stuff.
A whole bunch of stuff, and a really bad digestive problem.
Oh my goodness, gastroparesis, correct? Mm-hmm. So she can't hold anything down. She's always sick. I'd been so used to it my whole life that I just didn't think it was a big deal, but apparently it's totally different. You know what I mean? Like nobody has ever seen anything like it. She has actually mastered throwing up in a cup while she's driving. Okay. So she's really messed up. Okay. She was bedridden basically for 6 years, only being able to come out of her room like 1 or 2 days out of the month. It was absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So I have seen sick, and I've also seen sick pretending to not be sick, or not pretending, but trying to be strong, basically. When you are so sick like that, you can act normal for bits and periods of time because it is your normal. So some people were criticizing the fact that she was kind of laughing, or she's doing this or that or the other. But I can tell you, mentally she's not doing great, and physically she's doing even worse. It was a bunch of crying, a bunch of throwing up, a bunch of not being able to move. You could tell it's not something that I personally think would have been faked. Again, I'm not here to try and convince you any sort of way, but I'm just going to tell you, if Fancy told you that she wasn't sick at all, that was a blatant lie to try and attack Sarah's character. Again, do I trust Sarah? Absolutely not. She's laughing at me. I'm just a little too blunt with it. I really don't. And it's not because I have any issue with her.
Yeah.
Actually, I've had very few people reach out to me, which is totally fine. I'm kind of grateful for it. I'm kind of grateful for it because there's a really nice lady that I had been talking to for a while. Maybe I'll reach out to her after the stream. But I kind of stopped talking to her after like a few weeks because not anything was wrong with her. I just didn't want to be constantly bombarded with this information and having like my opinion shifted and stuff. I just kind of tried to stay in my own lane, see things for how they were, see how things played out. So yeah, I haven't been talking to anybody really for the most part. Although there is a Discord that you have that I've said like a few things in, but I really try and stay out of it. And you guys don't even talk very much in there at all. Rosie Posey actually happens to be part of it, so that's why I saw her. I recognized it. I was like, okay, she's cool. She said some really nice things. But yeah, no, Sarah, absolutely sick. There's just no question about it. Yeah, so I've been trying to stay away from things, but Sarah did try and reach out to me, kind of. She's one of two people I want to say that reached out to me. Bree reached out to me, which I know has been a point of controversy, and we will get into that a little bit. For the record, I have not spoken to Bree since I want to say the 7th or the 8th of June. She blocked me. She did. Either she blocked me or her account got banned. I see that her account did eventually get banned, but I don't think it always said that, and I have a screenshot of it later. And that's nothing against her. I actually like Bree. We had a very good conversation, but we didn't agree on anything. So Fancy spinning the narrative that Bree changed my mind is completely incorrect. And I'm not going to go and share all of our DMs. If she wants to, that's totally fine. But I have nothing but respect for Bree from the conversation we had. And I don't know every little intricacy and every little in and out of things that you just said and done online. But as far as things have gone on between us, she's cool with me. We're fine. But no, she didn't convince me of anything. But yeah, Sarah sort of reached out to me. I think she sent me like a little hand wave sticker on TikTok. And she followed me. She commented on my posts a few times. And Sarah, if you happen to be watching this either live or in replay, I'm not opposed to having a conversation with you at some point. But I think it's best for your interest for us to not have a conversation until after September. I don't want to talk to Fancy and I don't want to talk to Sarah until September. Because regardless of how I feel about the situation, I don't want to be the reason why they get in any sort of legal trouble. And that's why we didn't want to release the video initially. And that's why we were hesitant to bring forth some of this information that we're going to be bringing forth. I hope that it doesn't lead to us being involved in any sort of legal proceedings. That being said, I think it's just for our integrity. We need to get some of this stuff out here.
Yeah, and should we go to another break because it's already 6:43?
We're gonna go ahead and go to another real quick break, and then hopefully I can get some more of the stuff in. I'm so sorry that I can't play all the audio for you, but like I said, Uncorked with Brandy is the YouTube channel,
and we don't know anything about.
We don't know anything about her as a person, but she seemed nice. Is that what you're trying to say?
I was just gonna say I don't know anything about her. I've heard bits and pieces. But I know nothing about her ultimately.
I don't know anything about 90% of the people involved in this. I get sent videos by her or I'll randomly come across them. So, yeah, I don't know anything about these people, but they've all been nice to me, and that's all I can say. So, anyway, we're going to go ahead and do another break.
We're going to listen to Fly Above Fire, Be Myself, and stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Oh, sorry, my boobs are in the way.
Laura's trying to set up an aux cord to see if you can hear her phone.
Take it away for now while I just put my boobies in front of it.
Thank you guys very much for joining us back here on Military Broadcast Radio with Into the Weeds podcast. And Laura is trying to set this up so that we can get some audio because I think it's beneficial to hear Sarah in her own voice and her own words. Yeah, so.
Is there not a place where I can plug in an aux cord?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's
would
just
be.
come on over here.
Okay, sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah, I know. I just would really love for them to hear what Sarah has to say.
You know what? Just go check out Uncorked with Brandy or
Yes, Uncorked with
yeah,
Brandy.
just go check her out. And yeah, it was a good live.
Stop. There would be.
I didn't get through the whole thing because I've only been home for a little bit.
I'm gonna plug it into the computer and see if anything happens, and if it doesn't, we'll just drop the idea. Okay. Okay, this is gonna be our test. Sorry for kind of flashing you guys. Okay. Okay, I don't hear anything.
No, I don't
Okay, I guess that sucks. That's unfortunate.
Oh, well.
Okay.
What were you gonna?
Okay. So what I was gonna get into. Okay. So something else that Sarah did say in these clips, and again, maybe I'll post them somewhere when I get the ability to do so.
We can put them on our community tab.
Community tab, maybe. I'm having issues uploading these anywhere. I even tried to upload them to TikTok so I could like look on TikTok on here and it wouldn't work. So anyway, something though that I was very shocked by is that in one of the clips, Sarah implies that the blue shirt guy was potentially trying to sexually assault her by getting in her space. Now, I, as a woman who I have been sexually assaulted, I've been sexually intimidated, all that stuff. I can understand how maybe sometimes you get the vibe that something's sexual, maybe because it is, maybe because it's not. Because being a woman's hard, I'm not gonna lie. But it was not sexual in any way, shape, or form. We'll show you guys the video here in a little bit. But you know, she actually says in the video, that I was gonna play but can't play.
Live stream.
The live stream, I'm sorry. She said in the live stream that he like tried to touch her boobs or like
Her chest.
her chest. No, she literally said boobs though, I think. I think she literally said boobs, like at some point, or breasts or something like that. I think she said something somewhat graphic.
Mm-hmm.
Who's making implications. And I want to state that while I do think what he did was inappropriate, there's no way that it was sexual in any sort of way. She didn't straight up say it was sexual, she just implied that it was possible. And I want to state that there's no proof of that whatsoever. I don't get that vibe. I don't think that's true. And I think that Fancy and Sarah would both be very smart to stop commenting on things. Especially if they're going to be saying things like that. But anyway, she kind of explained that she thought it was a sexual thing, and I just don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And then I'm just going to keep reading the rest of the notes that I have on here and then move on to the next thing. But in the next clip, it says that the hosts claim to have seen the video and that they don't see an assault happen, period, which is something that we were saying after we had watched the video. And then this is a direct quote from Sarah. I actually did write this down. She said, "If you guys could see where I was standing, where my phone was, how I was positioned, how far away he was, how far he had to walk out of his way to touch me with his chest, you guys might understand the situation a little better." So I want to show them.
Okay.
So on here, this is a picture directly from the Good Wives Network TikTok. You can see the little thing in the corner there. So this is a picture, not that we took, but that she took. So that kind of shows the angle of where they were at. There did end up being someone to the way that you're looking at the picture on the left-hand side, there will be a guy that will be over there later. But from what I understand, I don't think anyone ended up being to the right of them whatsoever. And here is another picture. And this is of Sarah actually standing next to them. And you can see that poor guy almost blurred out his face. But if you look, he's kind of like giving him the side eye, which is the only reason why I did blur out his face, because I thought it was kind of funny. But anyway, that is exactly how
I didn't notice.
That?
I didn't notice she was laughing.
Oh, yeah, she's laughing. You'll hear her laugh in the
Yeah,
video.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that. Should I get? I think I want to. Should I get into the hotel payment stuff, or should I just get into this first?
Well, you're already on this.
I'm just already on this. So let's go ahead and let's actually watch the video. So this is going to be the video, courtesy of Exposing the Good Wives Network. Go ahead and look them up on YouTube, TikTok, all that stuff. We got sent this video ourselves, so we do have like an original video of it, but we are having issues, as you can see, with all of our videos. So we found this and figured this would be the easiest thing. And again, we did not want to post anything at all, really. We didn't want to post any of this stuff. And we advised Fancy to not keep releasing this video to people. And from what I understand, the only two people that had seen it at the time that we saw it were were Sarah and Veda. And Veda, I don't know her personally, but we've had a couple conversations, and the live stream she did about us was very good. I feel like she's very sweet. I like her. But I do not think that she would have leaked this. So clearly, Fancy or Sarah have kind of gotten a little excited with themselves, and it's turned out in the only evidence they have being on the internet. So
They sent it to somebody that leaked it, or they leaked it themselves.
One of the two, but I always want to give them the benefit of the doubt, be like, oh, they're not stupid enough to do this, they're not stupid enough to do that. But clearly, I keep getting surprised. So anyway, I'm going to shut up now, and I'm just going to let you guys see this.
Wait, is this presented? Hold on.
Oh, yeah, I just want to make
You're
sure.
going to present it.
Oh, shoot, I almost played the darn thing.
Okay, hold on.
Sorry.
Okay, now we're going to present.
That's a different one. Oopsie daisy, we're doing our thing, trying to figure it out.
There we go.
There we go. Okay. That poor guy did not ask to be involved in this. Okay.
Hi, good morning, guys. I am here with the media.
No, you're not. You're here with Fancy, and you can step away from me, or I will have a police call.
That's fine. We wanted to know if you wanted to make.
You can step away, or I will have a police call.
Well, that's fine. We just wanted to know if you wanted to make a comment.
You said no. You will step away, or I will have a police call, Sarah. I know who you are.
That's fine. I do work. I do work for the. I do work for the media.
He's not a member of the press.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am a member of the press.
Please call.
Right.
You know it.
Okay, so what was that? Okay, how do I just leave that? Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit. Well, first of all, I want to say, whenever you were talking about your experience with the story, I was not there. I want to make that clear to anyone. I was either on the elevator or on my way down to the elevator when this altercation took place. So anything I've ever said has only been secondhand information, whether it be from her, from Sarah, or from Fancy. So I didn't see anything. I want to make that very, very clear. But Mom, you did say, I believe, I'm not quoting you, but I believe you said something along the lines of how he was yelling, Mike. And now I will say that I have been guilty of accidentally using the verbiage yelling when I'm talking about someone just being stern with me. So I could see them perceiving it that way, and I could see you perceiving it that way as well. But I just want to give you a second to clear up what you said, what you saw.
Yeah. So when I was sitting there, like I have always said, you know, I took a picture of Sarah, and then I look down to switch. And I remember when I was writing out the police report or the witness statement, I remember writing several times when I went to slide over to push video. But yeah, I went to slide over to push video, and then I heard a really loud male's voice say, "Get back," or something like that.
I will say it was a lot more echoey in that room.
It was.
And it probably sounded a little bit different.
It was.
To you versus.
It was. And when I first saw the video, I was like, holy cow, was I just imagining it all?
Mm-hmm.
And then I stepped back and I reevaluated it, and I was like, okay, Amber, what did you hear? What did you see? And what I did see and hear, so this was probably wrong of me, but I tried to suppress some of the how loud Fancy was, how obnoxious she was. It was very embarrassing. And especially since I didn't even know what was going on at the beginning, she just started like really loud and obnoxiously saying, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it." And I was just like, what the heck is going on? I mean, I'd seen her act not flamboyant. I've seen her act wild, but to actually see it in person was kind of jarring. And so it was just really loud, and I didn't communicate that well enough to everybody. I tried to maybe paint her in a better light than I should have. I don't know.
I've been guilty myself, just to be fully honest with everyone, of having friends or stuff in the past where I've noticed red flags, but I've tried to make excuses for them. And I saw her as someone who, is a little red flaggy, but still a good person,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm naturally super loud. I'm naturally super obnoxious. I am the type of person who has, I've toned down a lot within the last few years, like since I've kind of, I guess my brain started forming, like fully forming. But yeah, so I've kind of been the same way before. And I guess I didn't notice it quite as much. I wasn't there when this happened, but she was just generally speaking very loud everywhere. And there were a couple times where it was a little embarrassing, but the other time it was kind of like, oh, it is what it is.
Yeah. So anyways, I just, so when Sarah came down, I'm just going to go back over it. So actually, well, let's just start from the beginning. So when I walk into the door and I see Fancy getting breakfast, I walk up to her because I had already met her that morning, early in the morning. And when I saw her and we sat down, we were having a nice conversation, just talking about, wow, you can't believe that this is happening or whatever. And as soon as she sees Mike Stanfield, which, like I said, I had no idea who this person was. I had only watched him the one time on Gypsy's show, and I didn't pay that much attention. And so, yeah, when she started going wild or really loud, I was just like, oh, my gosh. And when they came behind us, because they had to come behind me and Fancy, so I was sitting right here, and Fancy was sitting basically like here. I don't even know how. Anyways, she was sitting next to me.
Directly beside each other, but it was kind of it was a weird angle.
Anyways, so they had to come behind me, but they were on the side of Fancy, is what I was trying to say. Mm-hmm. And when she picked up her phone, immediately, blue shirt guy, because I still don't know who the dude is.
You know who they accused of it, but it doesn't seem to be that person.
Yeah. He immediately engaged with Fancy. And I have always said that it felt more like a sergeant at arms type of mentality that he had. And when I say that, it's more like the enforcer, the bodyguard, the person who takes care of business. That's what I mean when I say a sergeant at arms. So, yeah, that's the impression that I got, because he was the one that engaged with Fancy. Mike did not. actually through the whole thing. I don't think he engaged with Fancy at all, unless they
just engaged with Sarah. Yeah.
Yeah, unless they talked to each other when they were up at the reception desk.
But nothing that you witnessed and you can remember.
Yeah. Gotcha. And so with Mike not ever saying anything too fancy, it adds up that he very well could have been a security guard.
Yeah.
And
that's what Nina, Flawless Nina, she ended up claiming. She had some sort of a anonymous source, if I believe, come to her. And, I take everything with a grain of salt, not because of her. I just mean, anybody can claim to be anything. So I take everything with a grain of salt. So he may be a security guard, may not be, but it really seemed like he was a security guard and was not the person playing. So I definitely give Nina the credit for that one, for exposing that, putting that out there.
Yeah, because it definitely had that vibe. Yeah. After it was brought to my attention, I was like, yeah, that's exactly the kind of.
I think you even kind of called him like, oh, what is the security guard doing or something like that, like the day of
something.
So, yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, they were behind us. She picked up her phone, and then when he said, when he thought, I guess she was taking pictures, when he said, hey, this is not the time or the place, she got up immediately and she started just walking around and filming and taking pictures and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my gosh. Because, I did not know that they had any interactions over the phone or anything like that. It's only just come to my attention that Sarah talked to Mike, which blows me out of the water that either one of them would see that it would be okay to walk over to this man's table and start talking to him.
Here's something that I have to call into question, and I hate to do it, but Sarah claims to have media training. She claims to have certain degrees, and she claims to have certain things. I'm not saying that she's lying about the degrees that she holds, but the way that entire interaction came off to me, and her interaction with everybody in the live streams they've done and everything, nothing about the way she acts or conducts herself reminds me of someone that has professional training in any of these things. They were talking about filming a documentary while they were there. What are you going to do on your cell phones? Like that. I don't even think they have iPhones. They have like Androids with like shitty camera quality. That's what it looks like to me. So I call into question both of them being professional and being able to actually conduct these things, because I'm not able to conduct myself very well. I mean, you see the way that I was just reading that stuff, and I feel like even I would have done better trying to interview this man, and I don't have any sort of I mean, you can maybe count it as her being nervous, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like just the whole way it was approached, the way she was holding the phone, none of it looked like someone who knew what they were doing. It just didn't to me.
Yeah, and I will agree with that too, because everything about the whole trip to Chillicothe outside of the courthouse and hearing just didn't make any sense. At first it did. I was like, yeah, I get pictures and video and stuff like that. But then Laura was like, where's their cameras? Where's all these things? And I was like, oh, yeah.
Now I see someone, let me highlight their comment. Okay. So it says, oh, oopsie daisy. So it says, anyone can film something with their phones. It doesn't make you media. So while I agree with that, I will also say that in the day and age that we're in, it's a lot less hard to be media than it was 20 years ago or even 15 years ago. So I don't think it was necessarily inappropriate for her to say that she's some sort of media personality, because in some ways she is. I mean, who are we to say that, YouTubers or TikTokers or anything aren't involved in the media in some way? We all see things differently. But yeah, like she's not, yeah. And the fact that she even approached him, I want to make it clear, because we've made the mistake before, but she was not a witness in this case, in this court hearing. Okay. She was not a witness, but somewhere in the court papers that we were just looking through a little bit ago, but didn't have the ability to put up on the screen and read the whole thing, 32 pages of it, by the way. It says something along the lines, though, of how if all the stuff ended up going to trial, that all of her employees and people that she interacts with professionally or that are under her or being paid by her would not be able to like interact with these people, that the restraining order and all that stuff would kind of extend to them. At least that's the way I understood it. Again, legal jargon, not my thing, but it really seemed like, yeah, she could totally be brought into this. She's not a witness now, but she could be a witness later. And again, we didn't think about, you know, the optics of that at the time. Sometimes you just have to step back and reflect and think about, oh yeah, that wasn't the way it should have been. And we were running on adrenaline the whole time. And even when we got in the car, there were some important distinctions that we didn't make, that we did, you know what I mean? Like we weren't on the same page up until super recently about some things, you know what I mean? Like we didn't know all the facts, and we, you know, our brains weren't able to connect properly on certain things. So yeah, I don't know. It's just.
Yeah. And, so, gives Melissa a bad name. Yes, but this is the case she was in some way involved in. She drove there with Fancy, so it's weird to claim she's just there as media. Yeah, and like I said, I didn't know that she had conversation with Mike Stanfield. That's just so blatantly ignorant on both of their parts to engage with him.
Yeah.
Especially before the court case. And it was like 8:18 when it started, you know?
Yeah.
And so they had to be in the court at 9 a.m.
Oh yeah, this was all like very close. This is another comment I want to highlight real quick. It says she claims degree in media law, later claimed media pre-law, also claims she walked into the Good Wives Network completely blind, but spent months trying to get on that panel. It's confusing. I don't know. She doesn't, in my personal opinion, seem like someone that would be in pre-law. But I've known a lot of people that I didn't expect to do certain things. So who am I to say anything?
Yeah, no, that's very true. And
I don't know. I'm not trying to insult you, Sarah, for the record. I really am not.
Yeah, and I when I found Fancy, you know, I found her on a fluke because somebody was talking about her, and I just wanted to know a little bit more about Gypsy, because I'd only heard good things about her, or, you know, that she was a victim and that, you know, she was a sweet, innocent little girl that just got taken advantage of and everything. So yeah, when I found Fancy, I don't even remember where I was going with that, but
I also want to like I want to throw this out here. Like, people are under the impression that we were like some Fancy fans, and that's why we went over there. That's not what happened. Like she said, she had just kind of stumbled across Fancy stuff. She sends me a lot of long form videos. I can watch like TikToks and like watch the whole thing, but sometimes she sends long form videos. If it's not something I'm interested in, I'm probably not going to watch it. And I was still kind of up Gypsy's ass, to be honest, for a little bit. And even when it started to, you know, fade for me, and I thought she was a little like, you know, a little fishy. She would tell me about Fancy just a few times, not very often. And I was like, okay, whatever you say, that's fine. And then one day I was like, okay. And she gets mad at me sometimes, which is valid. It's valid. She watched things I said, so that's how it was with Fancy. One day she happened to just put her on the Roku, which, by the way, I totally forgot to announce. I was going to announce after the break. We are now on Roku.
Yeah.
So if you guys look up Military Broadcast Radio on Roku, I think everything should be good to go. If it's not, it will be really soon. But I think we were told that we are on Roku now, is that we have a Roku app, or we don't have one, but our network that we're part of has a Roku app. So, which Fancy claimed the Good Wives Network had a Roku app, and there's no proof of that. There's no proof of that, but you know who does?
Military Broadcast Radio.
Military Broadcast Radio. So anyway, there's a reason why I brought all
that
up.
And Hey Talk with Rose, RL France.
Let's see. She's a grown woman. Fancy did not hold her hostage. Neither of them are right. However, they are both disrespectful and not assaulted in any way. Sarah seems to be a person that's been through a lot of trauma, and I think Fancy likes to find weak seeming people, and latch onto them. And I don't think that my mother is weak in any way, but I think that some people perceive her as weak because she's kind. And a lot of times people that are perceived as kind, or people that are kind, are perceived as weak, and they get taken advantage of. And I do think you got taken advantage of by her a little bit, but not in any way that you weren't kind of aware of.
Yeah.
I
knew what was going on.
She knew what was up. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into another quick commercial break, you think?
And then we'll get into the hotel stuff.
We'll get into, we're going to
because we really need to get into that.
This is what's important, and that's our allegation against her.
Yes. And I wanted to say hello to Jatika and let's see who else. Give Mosa a bad name.
Ooh, there's Talk with Rose.
Yeah,
so Rose and Rosie. So yeah, we're just thanking all of y'all.
Okay. So we're going to listen to Insane by Cade Roth and the Black Sheep. And stay tuned, and we'll be back to talk about
how Fancy tried to fuck us over.
Laura D.
I love you.
Drink you off of my mind. I think about you all the time. Yeah, the whiskey can't wash you away. All those memories, they won't fade. Can't get you out of my head. Can't forget what you said. I wake up screaming your name. I think I'm going insane. I think I'm going insane. Since you left me, I can't sleep. When I shut my eyes, you're all I see. Yeah, you're leaving. It's getting to me. Oh, I swear, it's driving me crazy. I can't get you out of my head. Can't forget what you said. I wake up screaming.
opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
We moved ourselves from stage. Hi.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. And we are talking about what happened in Chillicothe. I'm not even sure that we told you everything, but yeah, we're going to go into...
We're kind of all over the place. But here is where I really wish that I would have been able to play all the clips for you guys earlier that Sarah had said. I tried to send it over email and just wouldn't work. But she, in at least like 4 of like the 5 or 6 clips that I have, she states that my mother only secured the room, that we got our security deposit back, that we didn't pay for anything as far as the hotel room goes. And that Fancy went and spent the money that you guys, probably not you guys, if you guys are watching this, you're probably not a Fancy person. But those of you guys that donated to Fancy said that you guys paid for the hotel room, and we're here to tell you that kind of. So here's what happened. You went, it was the 4th of June that we got there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
So we got there on 4th. Well, actually,
we got there on the 4th of June.
Was the court case on the 4th of the 5th? Okay, we got there on the 5th early in the morning.
Hold on, let me start off. Okay. So the whole way this came about of me even getting them a hotel room,
which we didn't even want to let anyone know about, by the way. And it wasn't because we were trying to hide that we were paying for it. It was more so because, have you ever done something nice for someone and not felt the need to blast it everywhere? You know what I mean?
I'm ticked because I told her not to say anything to anybody.
I used it as a defense mechanism.
I said, if you want to credit anybody, credit God, because that's why I do what I do. I do it because I love people. I try to help. And yeah. And so I didn't want anybody to know what I did because it's between me and God. It's not between me and anybody else. It's between me and God. And so I felt like, I was helping somebody. That's what I thought I was doing. Mm-hmm. And so I decided that since Sarah and Fancy were going to be driving all night and they wouldn't get in until early in the morning on the 5th, that either there wouldn't be any hotel rooms available or that it would take too long to check in, and everything.
When you get to a hotel, especially at random times, it's hard to get everything situated. They arrived at 6 a.m., had to be in court by 9 a.m. Sorry, wasn't trying to interrupt. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and so I decided, okay, well, it would be nice for them if they didn't have to worry. And so I would secure, and this is where this secure word came from. I would secure the hotel room for them so that when they came, and I'll explain it, when they came, they would be able to just walk right into the room. So what I did is on the 4th, without them asking me, nothing. Okay, they did not ask me to do this. I did this on my own accord because I thought I was trying to do the right thing.
And I want to throw out there, I kind of gave her shit for it, even from the beginning. I was kind of a little rude about it.
He was very rude about it.
Well, me too.
Well, you are very rude about stuff like that.
We're being honest here, though. We're being honest with you guys.
Yeah.
I was upset with her, though, because I'm like, why would you buy her a room?
Which I understand, but I was just trying to, so I thought it was free speech, like we all.
Also, you were asking for me to pay for our hotel room. So I was like, why would you pay for her hotel room if we didn't really have a bunch of...
No.
But we were just trying to be nice. Sorry.
It was completely different. Okay, we were trying to figure, I had to go do a bunch of other stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought it would be kind to get somebody a hotel room.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And when they showed up at 6 o'clock in the morning, Fancy was outside, and she started saying, "Oh, well, this hotel looks a lot nicer, than what we expected." And I was like, "Well, I mean, there's this one and the one next door, which was the Comfort Inn or something like that." And I said, you can go stay at any other place, but I wouldn't recommend it in Chillicothe because there are not a whole lot of
Not much going on.
Yeah, and the ones that are there are, not very good. So anyways, so she ended up saying, "Well, I don't know if we can afford it or not." And I was like, "Well, I've got it for the military discount, so you'll get the military discount with it since I secured it." And she eventually was like, "Okay." And then, so she said she was going to go in and talk to the receptionist and get it all cleared up to where they would be charged for the room. Now, at this time, I had no idea that Fancy did not have a credit card. I had no idea at all. I didn't even think about it. I mean,
what adult in their 50s,
40s, I think. But anyways, yeah, I just didn't even think about it. So, so when she went in there, I didn't know she didn't have a credit card, and I didn't know anything. Okay, so I just let her go in there by herself, and I was watching Sarah's dog and helping Sarah, and Sarah was unpacking stuff, which she was sick, and she was the one unpacking, and Fancy was in there dealing with the receptionist. I don't know what Fancy said to the receptionist, but when she came out, she said, "It's all good. It's all taken care of." Mm-hmm. And so from then on, I just didn't think about it anymore.
Assume that she switched the card over to pay for it.
Yeah, on her credit card.
On her credit card.
But I didn't know that she didn't have a credit card. So we're going to present this now. Hold on, I need to go back.
Hold, please. Also, side note, I think people talking about the gummies in the chat. A little bit of clarification is that Sarah alleges that Fancy went and bought 2 packs of like $70 edibles from the dispensary. Mm-hmm. And I think that's particularly funny that she spent the money on dispensary stuff, because I will say that I do partake, and I would have gladly shared with no issues, and she knew that I partook, and she did not ask, and I'm surprised because she's the kind of person that I feel like would ask, and she didn't, and I would have gladly given her stuff for free where you guys wouldn't have even had to pay a damn dime for it. And I completely understand having a dependency on sort of things like that, because I do it a lot more frequently than I should. That being said, there were plenty of mediums in which she could have partook if she would have just asked, and she didn't. So, I even, partook while I was there at one point, and she knew it was around. I wouldn't have had an issue, but she didn't. So I'm sorry that you guys had to suffer for that. I did not think that's something that she would do. I considered actually offering her some, and I just didn't. It is what it is. That being said, though, we're going to get into the proof of payment, because we paid for the hotel. Okay. In several videos that I was trying to play for you guys, Sarah states that we did not pay for the hotel, and I don't think it was because she was lying. She said that Fancy said all this. I highly doubt that Sarah had any involvement in anything that was going on with this stuff. I think she just blindly believed what Fancy told her, which, she shouldn't do, but also we blindly believe stuff that Fancy told her. So how am I to criticize her for something that I also did in some fashion? Mm-hmm. That being said, let's get into it. I don't know why I just started shaking. Like, not even that cold. Okay. So here we have a reservation confirmation. Here's the number. It ends in 174. It says check in June 4th, check out June 5th. And I think you said this, but I'm just clarifying. My mother had to pay for a June 4th room even though they'd technically be coming in on June 5th, because it was such a weird time of day, night, whatever. And we thought they were going to come in maybe a couple hours before they even did. So my mom felt as though she had to pay for the 4th. And
Well,
from
they
what I
wouldn't
understand,
even been able to check in until
been
after
able to
3.
check in until after 3. Okay. So that's why she had to buy the June 4th thing. And just to make sure we're on the same page, you only intended on buying June 4th. You did not intend on buying June 5th or anything else?
Correct.
Okay. Correct. And I think we've even stated that before. And for the record, all the stuff we're about to present, I didn't find out until 30 minutes after the last live that we did about this, because she knew that I would have gone off. And I'm very thankful that she waited to tell me, because I would have gone off and I would have said it in a very inappropriate way, and I probably would have made accusations that no one deserves to have thrown at them. Will say I'm not accusing Fancy of anything. I'm just saying this is really weird. And we're not going to try and get her in any sort of trouble either.
No.
We just think it's really weird.
Laura more so. I'm just whatever, go with the flow.
I'm only presenting this because of the things they've been saying and doing and defaming us and saying that we're lying and doing this and that and the other. You can think whatever you want of us. If you don't think that we're genuine, then I mean, it hurts that I have not done a good job portraying myself, but it doesn't hurt my feelings also, because, you know, what am I going to do? You know, can't please everyone. Someone's always going to hate you, you know, no matter what. And I'm okay with that. If people that are going to hate me are people like Fancy, then I am okay with that. So anyway, I wanted to show that. So 174, that is the first room, and I believe that probably would have been our room. And there's also 192. So it says check in June 4th, 3 p.m., check out June 5th. So that is 2 rooms. The one that we were staying in, I was fast asleep, taking a nappy nap, and then the second one that they were going to come in. So here's where it shows 14009, 14009, Fairfield Inn and Suites. That's where we stay. That's to prove that we did pay for the room. And my mother just sent this screenshot over today. You just took that screenshot today, correct? Okay. She just took that today. This isn't something old that we filed some sort of claim on or a refund or anything. This is stuff that has been taken out of her account since June 8th. And I know the days aren't exactly lining up, and there's going to be some things that don't line up, especially when I show you guys later. Oh, I actually don't even think I put it into the slides, even though I have it. I was going to show you, I have receipts of my Venmo, because I used Venmo for everything while we were over there, and show you guys what I spent. So my mom and I kind of ended up spending kind of the same-ish after everything. But anyway, so that's that. And then here, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. This might mess things up, so I apologize if it does. So here is, again, the Fairfield by Marriott. And this is where I feel like we were screwed a little bit. So if you remember correctly, my mom just said that she offered to pay for the first night and no other nights. So tell me why she got an alert 2 days later from her credit card company trying to take more money out of her account. And she's wondering, why would they try and take more money out of her account? Because Fancy told us that she went, she took care of it, she put her card on the thing, everything's good. So if you look here, again, it's kind of hard to tell. I can maybe post a screenshot somewhere else, but this is a literal receipt. Cannot fake it, taken today. So let's see. It goes June 4th, June 5th, June 6th, June 7th, and June 8th. If you see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 charges of $124 over the course of all of those days that were attempted to be sent to my mother. It looks like it says $563.86 is what they tried to charge my mother for after Fancy allegedly went back, changed the card, and used your guys' hard-earned money that you donated to her. She swore that she paid for this room, but here's the actual receipt of them trying to charge my mother for $563 worth. Trying. Now, as you see, I'll go back. Oh, shoot. I went too far back. Okay, as you see, she only paid the 140. Okay, she does not have any issues. She did not have all of that taken out. She did reach out to what was it, Marriott? Is that what it was?
No, Fairfield.
Fairfield. Sorry, I saw the M.
It's owned by Marriott.
Oh, owned by. Okay, I saw the M and I was like Marriott Fairfield. Even though I just read it anyway. There's no address. We blacked out the name. We don't want to involve this guy in it, but this guy actually is mentioned. He's actually mentioned in one of the not the lawsuit. He's mentioned in the court filings for the assault incident. Okay. I have been trying very hard not to dox us. I got a little upset because there are a couple of creators that did not blur our last names out of certain things, but nobody's doxed us more than my own mother does. So I love you so much, Mom, but it happens. Okay, anyway, I just wanted to throw out that he has the same last name as us, in case anybody goes through, finds our last name, finds this guy's last name. There is a letter that is flipped, 2 letters that are, just flipped. I want to make sure that everyone knows that even though it's a rare last name, it's not any relation. We didn't have like some guy write this up. Believe what you want to believe, but again, I just wanted to make that distinction just in case there's any like super slips that go on looking here. So anyway, it says, "Dear Amber, thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts regarding this issue. I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. I personally closed out your folio yesterday, and it was only charged for the first night, and I avoided any pending charges the second night." This is the second night. "There should not be any issues with your bill. If there is an authorization still on your card that will be released once your bank releases it. As far as charges, you were only charged for the first night. Once again, thank you for taking the time to share your feedback. I appreciate you choosing to stay with us." So that is confirmation email-wise. Again, didn't add the email with the guy's name, so take it with a grain of salt if you will. But again, June 8th, that was sent June 8th. He really, again, it's looking like some kind of scheme might have been tried to pull. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, and everything got sorted out, and there are no legal troubles, there are no problems, and I don't want to get anyone in any more trouble than they're already getting themselves into. But I will say that's a little weird to me. And I think...
Yeah, I would have just kept quiet on this whole thing.
He would have kept quiet. The only reason why I'm saying any of this stuff is because I'm seeing lie after lie after lie. And, again, it was completely our fault for the way that we handled everything initially. We should have waited to say things. We should have said things while we were hyped up on adrenaline and all that sort of thing. And I'm glad that I waited a few weeks before I even released this information. It got me in a calmer headspace where I'm not just seeing red. I'm not angry anymore. I think it's kind of funny. And I'm very glad that it did not work and that we did not have that money taken out of our account. But Fancy, would you like to explain that? Because I know that you are going to probably respond in some form or fashion, and you're probably going to have, 2 or 3 of the people that watch you probably clip little parts like they did last time, send you the worst things that we say, and out of context, not talking about the good things that we've said about you. And again, I don't have entirely bad things to say about you. I want to bring up the Tasha K interview for a little bit. Did you finish watching it, or did you only watch some of it?
I just watched it.
She presented herself pretty well in the interview, I feel like. I think she did a pretty decent job. And I would encourage everyone to watch as much of it as you can. You can either buy it on Tasha K's Patreon, and also the Good Wives Network. Here it is. They have the whole thing loaded up on here. So you can just watch Fancy live stream of the whole thing if you don't mind giving her the view, if you know what I mean. She presents herself well here. And I think it really shows that, we weren't manipulated. We knew she was a little nutso, okay? But it shows that she can act like a normal person. And She can be kind. She can be funny. I enjoyed some of the time that we actually spent with her. I don't regret it. I don't regret any of it, really.
I'm actually glad we went.
I'm glad that we went. I still really don't have that much of an issue with her as far as like just the way we interact and stuff. Like if I saw her again, I wouldn't think it was like the end of the world.
Now, morally, the things she's done outside of our interaction with her, we have a lot of problems.
I didn't know about any of it.
Yeah, we
Like I
didn't
said,
either.
I've only seen one video that you put up on the screen. I thought she was acting like a fool. And then you came to me and told me, oh, we secured a podcast episode with this lady. I was like, so we go. We hop on, but she has like another thing that another live I think that she's supposed to do. So we get to talk to her for like 30 minutes, and then she's like, "Okay, well I have to go, so let's reschedule another interview." Like, okay, that's fine. So the next day, I believe it was literally the next day, we ended up talking to Nina, and it was on her birthday. And I appreciate Nina for talking to us on her birthday because that is such a special day, and the fact that she would take time out of it to speak with us, I very much appreciate. Okay, so. Something I didn't even know is Fancy got upset with you. And didn't she tell you one of the first things she said to you in person was, why would you put Nina on first? If Nina's episode is before mine, it makes it look like you're saying that she's the expert. And we're like, the whole point of this podcast for the most part, at least as of now, is just to have interesting conversations with interesting people.
Well, ultimately, the whole point of the podcast was for me to get cognitive therapy and to talk to interesting people to help me to learn how to talk again and to research again. And, you know, I was in college for a long time and wrote a lot of papers and read a lot of books. And a lot of that knowledge has left me and the ability to do that has left me. So I'm slowly regaining that.
And I think you're doing a really good job with it. Thank you. We might feel like we bitter a little bit, and maybe we do a little bit, but it's all love here. I'm a pain in the butt, if anything. But yeah, like we're just trying to talk to interesting people, though. And we were, somewhat interested in the Gypsy Rose story. We weren't, we weren't obsessed with it. But we had enough interest, and we had enough weird overlapping between her life and people that we know as life. And we're like, okay, we'll talk to these people. We had intended on talking to Fancy first. She had prior obligations, and we just weren't able to get around to it till a little bit later. And actually, I didn't even know who Sarah was at all. And then Fancy shows up, and she goes, okay, Sarah's going to be in our life too. And something I realized is when we were talking to Fancy one-on-one, she was really cool. She was the way she acts in these interviews, Tasha, okay? She was totally manageable. But something that happens is when she's around other people, they kind of rile each other up. And that's where she gets really crazy. And so we were a little scared. We're like, okay, we don't know this Sarah chick very well. You probably had more familiarity with her than I really, So we're like, oh dear, we really hope that doesn't end up riling her up. So luckily, there's some things they said that I definitely don't agree with, but I think they were fine on our podcast episode. I think it's fine. Which is the reason why we even agreed to meet up, or we didn't even agree to meet up. It's just that we found out that they happened to be doing a court case like
a couple of weeks after we had interviewed them.
Yeah, right after we had interviewed them, really close to us. We wanted to see what was going on. And who wouldn't, to be honest, even if you weren't going to do it and go get dinner with her or pay for her hotel. Like, I feel like a lot of people probably, if given the opportunity, would have gone and sat in there too. And that's really all it was.
It was interesting to say the least, and very informative.
So real quick, we're going to play maybe, a few minutes. I might have to pause it every once in a while so that we don't have any issues with anyone, but we're going to play about 5-6 minutes of her talking about the court specifically, like what happened in court specifically. And we'll add commentary, as
they did none of the things that they were supposed to do. And then they want to take me to court and ask a judge to freaking look at it. Well, the judge literally stood there. He walked in. I had 24 hours to get there. I had been not served. The whole thing. I drove through almost like hurricane conditions. And I got into there at 6 a.m. for a 9 a.m. court date. Okay. And there's lots of stuff that happened that I will not talk about. But in the court case, when we got to the courtroom and the judge walked in, he smiled at me as he walked by. And I was like, well, that's good. Maybe
Gypsy was there too?
No, Gypsy was not there.
So I'll throw that out there. I brought this up to you a second when we were watching it. Okay. So I'm not saying that that's a lie, by the way, but from the very beginning, she was always very adamant, like, oh, he smiled at me, but like when I saw him walking, he just looked angry. And he might have smiled at her. I genuinely believe it could have happened because he seemed to be more on her side than he was on Stanfield's side. He seemed to be a lot more pissed off at Stanfield and the fact that it was even filed there. Okay, seemed a lot more pissed off than anything. But I don't know. Did you see the smile?
I did not see the smile, but like I said before, when he walked into that room, it almost felt lighter. And which I never expected, because I'm thinking small town Missouri justice, this is going to go way awry and we're going to watch some stuff go down. Is what I thought.
I mean, and it's being a little sassy, but we'll get into that in a second. So let's keep going.
Just her lawyer, Mike Stanfield.
Okay.
So it was me representing myself and Mike Stanfield representing Gypsy and her entire family. Her sister, her brother, her sister, her stepmother, her dad, and her are all in the lawsuit. Okay. So we show up and the guy walks past me. He smiles and I was like, well, maybe I do have a chance because I kind of feel like this is a setup. Like, what is going on here? Because
I really doubt that she immediately thought, oh, I do have a chance, because she was not, the words she said were not rude words. The words she said were not unprofessional words. But the way she said it, you could definitely tell they were button heads. So I really don't know if I believe the narrative that she automatically felt that way, or maybe it's just the way she is and she just was going to be like that regardless. But I was I was surprised. And part of the reason why I said such good things about her before is because from the very few things that I had seen about her, she seemed crazy. So anytime I see someone that seems that literally nutso, insane, unhinged, I commend them for acting like a normal person. And she acted like a normal person for the most part. I mean, there are a couple weird things, but people have their quirks. I have my quirks. I'm weird as hell, okay? So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there unless you have any questions.
because this is not how this is supposed to be happening. I contacted my friends in California that are attorneys, and they're like, this isn't how this goes. And I'm like, I know this is not how it goes, but it's going this way. So I don't know. And so I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. I just knew that I was smart enough to sit there and listen and figure out, how do I move this forward? My best case scenario, I really thought was we were going to get a continuance, and then I would be able to prepare and all that shit. But instead, the judge sat down and, we entered in who we were and what we were appearing for. And then the judge turned to Mr. Stanfield and, I'm sorry, first, let me back up. He turns to me and he said, Ms. Johns, can you tell me who you are? And I said, yeah, my name is April Johns. That's my actual, real government name. I'm here appearing on this case, sir. I'm representing myself. I didn't even know I was supposed to be here. And he goes, can you answer a question? If you didn't know how you were to be here this morning, how are you here standing in my courtroom, Ms. Johns? And I said, well, it's because a third-party YouTuber got on YouTube and talked about this.
It's something that's kind of funny to me is she loves to name drop. But when she's on with Tasha K, who actually has a following, she's not going to give any attention to Nina. Just say Nina. She's not going to give any attention to us, which is fine. I really didn't want Tasha K's audience on us, especially since I don't even know who she is. Or I don't mean it like I don't want her audience on us. Like I don't know anything about the lady. She seems really nice. I watched the interview and she's someone I would talk to for sure. Yeah. She's someone I think we would have a really good time with. And, but no, I just mean Fancy presented herself well in this scenario. Tasha clearly wasn't super informed about the whole subject, which neither were we when we got involved. Exactly. So I can't judge whatsoever. But I don't need a bunch of people to come and attack us because they haven't done the research, which again, we didn't do. So I can't get anyone, but I'm glad. I just want to throw it out there. We're not trying to be like, wow, she didn't even name drop us, like clout chasey kind of vibes. If you want to take it that way, you can, but I just thought it was notable that she didn't say anybody's name during this when she loves to name drop. No Bree, no Nina, no me, no Ryan. She says no Ryan. None of that. So anyway.
This case, they found it on CaseNet, sir. And that's the only reason I'm here today. I didn't even know about this until 2 days ago, like literally. And then I didn't even know if I had to come yet because we sent in a dismissal to the judge, and he didn't want to dismiss it that way, you know? So I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't even know what I'm doing here. And so the judge looked at me and he goes, well, we can agree though that it's a good thing that you're here this morning, Miss John. So you're not in, you're not in any trouble. Like, you know, so
I think you're about to say something. I have something I want to say about it too.
No, I was going to mention something else that just popped into my head. You say what you need to say.
All I was going to say is I don't think she goes much more into what they specifically say right here, but that back and forth went on for maybe 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
And he had to like literally slow down his speech. He like asked her multiple times, oh, wouldn't you agree that it's like, you know, beneficial for you to be here? And she like kept like being like, yeah, well, but it would have been beneficial for this, that, and the other. He goes, eventually he has to be like, no, slow his speech like she's a child. And he's like, no, wouldn't you say it's beneficial for you to be here? Kind of like a wink, wink, nudge, like nod, like kind of thing. Like that's what happened. Like it was a little bit more back and forth to that, with her being a little difficult. But again, none of the words she said were rude or unprofessional. It's just the way she said it and the way you could tell. But again, like it was nothing like the unhinged shit I had seen online. So I really didn't think it was that bad, because I was like, well, I mean, she's crazy, but I mean, she's handling herself pretty well, and especially after all that. I mean, with the way that we thought the morning had gone, I could imagine her being like that, you know. Also, I see a little bras there. I'm sorry to call it out, but I just see it peeking through. Anyway, what were you gonna say though?
I don't know why it popped into my head, and this is not the place to do it, but not the spot to do it. But,
hey, you think about it now.
When we went to Walmart.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll get into Walmart, or maybe we should too.
Yeah, because we only have
a little bit more time
yeah.
left. Yeah, but oh yeah, we might not even really be able to play the rest of what she said.
We have
to get out of here pretty quick, right? But what were you gonna say about Walmart?
Well, just that when we went and bought the things and then went to the checkout.
What about it?
You don't remember?
What did she say? I remember some of it, but
she didn't have her card.
Oh, well, I was gonna get into that.
Oh,
I just thought that yeah, we can get into that too.
Since we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, so I have my Venmo stuff, my receipts and everything on here. I just forgot to put it into the Google Doc that I made. But let me see if I can just go real quick.
Which, by the way, we did not care to pay anything for her at Walmart. That was not the issue.
I don't want the money back.
And it was just, honestly, after reevaluating and looking back at the situation, it was like, I wonder if that was, you know, her just trying to get us to pay for it, or if she genuinely couldn't find her card. But yeah,
just pay for it. Yeah. So I'm just gonna read out all of the money that I spent on this trip. I wasn't going to. I really don't give a shit about how much money I spent on the trip. It was completely and totally my fault for going, or not even my fault. It was my choice to go. I wanted to go. I don't regret going. I don't regret spending a single dime of this money. Even the money I spent at Walmart, it's fine. Let her have the free handouts. She loves them so much. But anyway, yeah, so we have $85 at break time for me to fill up her big gas tank. I got $42 at Love's, probably to fill another gas tank, maybe some food. I don't know. $18 at Taco Bell. $79.68 on the meal that we decided to eat with Fancy. And again, I totally invited her to that meal. That's totally fine that I spent that much money. Will say that she ate the majority of the fried pickles that I bought for the table, though. Just because I'm being petty. I'm just being petty. Okay, it's fine. I can be petty sometimes. Okay, I'm not that mad. And then did I say $22 is what we spent on her at Walmart? She basically said she bought a bunch of stuff for Sarah. I think most of it was for Sarah. So that's why I really didn't care. Sarah was sick. She couldn't come with us, and she wanted some like snacks and drinks. I think she wanted some Diet Sprite. That's the main reason why I still do not care. I have no issue with it. She's like, oh, I don't have my card. And I was like, oh, well, okay, whatever. And I just walked up. She said, no, don't do it. No, don't do it.
It was only $22.
It was $22. That does not matter. Okay. And, you know, she doesn't really have a lot of personal info on me that she can spread. I don't know if my mom necessarily wants me to say this, but maybe I'll just say it so that she can't be like, oh, well, how did you get that money? I sold some pictures of my feet, and that's the money came from. I'm throwing it out there so she can't be like, "You only had that money because you saw the pictures of your feet." I'm just being honest. It was a coworker of mine from like a long time ago, and him and I have a good friendship. And occasionally he wants to see my feet. Okay, so the money I spent on this particular thing, I'm not mad about. You know, I'm really not. But I just want to throw that out there in case she decided to be like, "Well, you do this, you're not." And I don't want to morally grandstand. I'm not a great person. I do things all the time that are messed up. I just want everyone to have a very clear picture of what's going on. But yeah, again, I was like, "Oh, it doesn't matter," and she thought that was really funny. And I told her a couple other small things. But again, she doesn't have anything on me that really matters. I don't care. Anything I told you, I don't care. Okay.
And Rosie Post. Yeah, I think she was referencing a Cash App card or a Venmo card or
whatever
something
card she allegedly had.
Yeah.
She didn't have it. She didn't have anything, so I paid for it. But I don't have an issue with that. Yeah. But yeah, there was one more thing. Oh, one more thing we have to bring up. We need to put the Google Doc back on here real quick. Okay. So people say that our story has changed. I don't think our story has changed. I think our perception has just changed. Mm-hmm. That being said, I went through all of the messages that I ever sent to anybody, and this is the only thing I could find where it seemed like our story did change.
We got 7 minutes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I make this very, very clear. Bree reached out to me. We had a good conversation. If anyone wants to talk to Bree and she wants to reveal any of that, I don't have a single issue with anything that I said. That's totally fine. I'd have to go back to double check, but I think the last time we interacted was on like the 7th, the 8th, or the 9th, something like that. So we didn't talk for very long. She didn't convince me of anything. We disagreed in most of the messages, and I think that you will even agree with that. That being said, the only time that my story has ever changed, and I want to be very transparent about this, this isn't, taken any other way. Let me see. So the only time. Oh no, that's what Fancy said to you. That's what Fancy said to you. I'll read that in a second, but I want to make sure I get to the brief. Okay. First of all, I want to show that the user, my brutality, it says the account was banned. It didn't always say that, so I think she blocked me, but maybe she didn't and her account was just banned. Either way, I'm not upset about it, but I would like to be very clear where I make my mistake. And my story does change, and I want to be very, very clear that at one point in time, I did change my story. It wasn't intentional, but I just want to be very transparent with you guys. So I'm just going to read out an excerpt. It says, "Now I will clarify that I came out of the elevator as the lawyers were yelling, so I did not see the physical push. I don't want to mislead anyone into thinking I did, but my mother did." And then I went on and just talked about Sarah, blah, 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 blah. Who really cares? But I want to make it very clear that that is a time where my story did change. Now, was it because I was trying to lie? No, it was not because I was trying to lie. It's because her and I believe that, I'll have to go back and look. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that was like either the day of or like the day after. Okay. My mom and I had talked about things, but as we've said before, we weren't on the same page with everything. We weren't 100% together on all of it. I misunderstood. I thought that she did see the physical push, and she did not.
Yeah, I was looking down, I looked up, and he was right up in her grill.
So that is a time where my story did change, and I want to make it very clear that that is something that I did say, and I will take full responsibility for it. And again, believe what you want to believe about it, but from my end, it was not malicious. It was just a misunderstanding of the situation. And I'm sure there's still certain things that her and I aren't completely on the same page about.
And honestly, I probably said I saw it just because I saw him in her face, and I wasn't being
yeah, you might have said it privately, but publicly people have flipped the things that we've said, and publicly we have not said that.
Unless I did.
Unless we did it on accident. If you want to clip us and say that we're wrong, that's fine.
Yeah.
If we've made the mistake, then please call us out for it, because we do deserve to be called out for something that was incorrect, any misinformation spread or any, whatever. I just want to make it very clear that I did say that. It wasn't intentional, and I didn't even realize until maybe a week or two ago when I started looking through the messages just to try and collect evidence and make sure that I didn't say anything wrong. So if Bree wants to speak out about that, I totally am open to speak to Bree, or if she doesn't want to speak to me and she just wants to speak on it, that's totally fine too. No hate. She was very nice to me. I have nothing bad to say about her. Whether we agree on anything or not, that doesn't matter. She was very nice to me, and that's all I can say. Fancy was nice to me when we talked. Sarah was nice to me. Nina was nice to me. Sir Morbid and Para Women Radio. And where else have we gone? Who else have we, cool with? Veda. Veda was really cool. And I feel like there's probably some people that I'm forgetting, and I'm so sorry. And there was one lady that did a live stream that had to do with us, and I just cannot remember her name for the life of me, but she was very nice. Said very kind things. But anyway, all these people have been nothing but kind to us, and we don't want to express any other way. We're not particularly friends with anybody, and we're not enemies with anybody. We're open to forming relationships with people, but right now we're just kind of casually interacting with people, and every single person has been kind to me. Fancy went a little off the rails for a little bit, and we'll see how she reacts after I have been a lot meaner in this video than I was. And I don't regret it. I don't. I'm just being, but I'm not even being that mean, because I could be really trashing her, but I don't have any desire to, because I don't, Fancy, I do not want to see you in jail. That is not where I want to see you end up. Now, if that is where the law thinks that you deserve to be, then you know what? Serve your time, do what you got to do, get out, and whatever. You know what I mean? But I do not want to see you behind a jail cell. That's why we did not talk about any of this stuff for the longest time. Something that also was so important. I know, I totally forgot to read out the letter she sent to the court.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, they've seen it, but not everybody. Yeah.
Real quick, I do want to mention, because we do have to leave here in a couple minutes, but she wrote a letter to the courts asking for my mother to be brought in as a witness, and said that my mom was lying on her report, saying that she's changing her stories, all this stuff, and that is not the case. If she would have lied, she would have a police report filed against her. They were not playing, okay? They were not playing. We have not been reached out to by any of the people that are involved in that. We have not been intimidated. The reason why our stories changed is because we realized how things really are. Our perceptions changed, okay? But she did write a letter to the court. She used her full name, and like I said, some people didn't blow our names out. I can't really be that upset about it, because we've kind of leaked our own names on accident too, so whatever. But I just want to say that she wrote that. And Fancy, it really is not in your best interest to try and get my mom in there, because it's not going to work out for you. Not because we want to put you down, but because we will tell the truth exactly how we perceived it, and it's not going to go in your favor.
Yeah, I've had to do it before, and I'll do it again.
So anyway, do you have any other last thoughts? I'm sorry, I kind of took over a little bit.
No, I'm glad you did, because I just didn't have the motivation after spending a week at church camp and praising the Lord.
It's a lot, but we want to thank you guys all for joining us today. Danny in the background, thanks you as well. I changed her background a little bit. I feel kind of bad. She added Princess Diana back. I actually checked to see if they were anatomically correct. One of them has, and the other one doesn't. I just wanted to throw that out there. Anyway.
Okay, well.
Anyway, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes, thank you so much for listening to Military Broadcast Radio and our podcast, Into the Weeds. And it's just a blessing to have this opportunity to do that. And so thank you, everyone, for joining us. And hopefully you come back.
Okay.
So have a blessed day.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week, hopefully.
Yep. Okay. Dang it, I forgot to put my thing on.
That's the show for today, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with an all-new show. And remember, you can listen to us again and again. The podcast of this radio show is available right after we go off the air tonight, anywhere that you can get your podcast episodes. And thanks for joining us today. I'd like to take a moment to talk about something close to